Hey everybody, Sherry Dawn here, and I wanted to answer another question that someone had sent to me about writing and the writing process. This question came to me from someone who had come to one of my writing retreats last year at Earthjoy Treehouse, and the question was, how do you find the time to write? And I think that's a great question because for so many of us, it's really difficult if you're working full time or if you're working part time. If you're a parent, you have different responsibilities, taking care of parents, taking care of kids, taking care of pets, whatever it is, everybody's busy. Let's just get straight to that. We get it. I get it for sure. So, as some of you know, I do work full time. Work full time for Streamline Publishing during the day. And then on the side, I have a lot of things going on. So, like, I'm a mom, I've got two kids, two teens, I'm married, we have three dogs, 14 chickens as of this moment. It always kind of varies, and a vineyard, and I'm a writer. Oh, and I also teach yoga. So, busy life, but I like to think of it as a full life. And part of that is finding the balance. So, before I get to answering the question of how I find time to write, I just want to do a quick mention of the Kickstarter that I'm doing right now. It's for my upcoming novel. This will be my second novel. It's called Ashes for William. And I hit the first goal. So I want to say thank you first to everyone who contributed to that in some way. And I have decided to do a stretch goal, which means that I'm hoping to raise $3,000 total because that'll help me not only fund the self-publishing costs, but it'll also help me turn it into an audiobook, which I'm really stoked about. So more on that later. I'll share a link to the Kickstarter in the notes below so that if you're interested in being a part of this project, you'll know how to do so. So that said, finding time to write. As you can see, I am not in my studio cabin today. I'm actually in a hotel room. I am on the road, and I thought it was a perfect time to address how I find time. So, like in this case, I knew I was going to be gone for a few days. I'm actually traveling with my son, who's doing something really cool. And I knew I'd be stuck in the hotel room. Not stuck. I knew that I had the option to be in the hotel room, or I could be gallivanting around the city, but my choice was to bring my laptop and work during the day for my normal job, and then use the evenings while my son was doing his thing to write. And it went really well because I don't have dishes to do while I'm here or eggs to collect and clean. But that's just me. That's why I'm coming from a hotel room. It's just a little side thing. So I made a list of 4 things that you can do to find time to write. The first one is to definitely prioritize. So you have to think about how bad you want to write whatever it is that you're working on, whether it's a novel or a collection of short stories, for example, anything that it is, anything that you're wanting to create in general. Let's go that route. So prioritize and, see what you can scratch off of your to-do list in order to make time to work on your creative project. And that's going to look a little bit different for everybody. And that's a personal thing that you have to dig down and decide what can you let go of, where can you cut back on things that aren't pushing you toward your goals, whatever they are. For me, I have a variety of goals. So my kids and family are always number one. My job, my normal day job, career is a close number 2. And then everything else falls in within that number 3. And those things are very close together. So anything that's not part of those things, I tend to not prioritize at all. Maybe that's too much. Just not as much. It's all about balance, right? So the second thing that I do is I create a weekly appointment for myself to write. Right now, that's usually on Friday nights because my family is doing things, and I have a window. So that's the time that I set aside. So what you can do is look at your calendar every week, and because it can change every week, especially if you're a busy person, and just block out 40 minutes is all you really need to get started to get into your project. So block out 40 minutes and make that your priority. and don't let anything else invade that space. Or if something has to invade that space, shift your own appointment with yourself to a different part of the week. Okay. Every little bit helps. So don't feel bad if you're not spending an hour a day working toward your project, your writing or your art or whatever. And also be compassionate with yourself, because there are going to be times when you're not able to get that time in like you hoped. So just forgive yourself for it. It's probably not your fault even. Just move on to the next week. So number 1 is prioritize. Number 2, make your weekly appointment. Number 3, this is a maybe. I put watch less TV and be on social media less. So that's I don't know who you are that's watching this necessarily, and how much time you do spend watching TV, or how much time you spend scrolling on social. So just take a look at that. Maybe for a week, write down the amount of time that you spend doing that. And then at the end of it, look and see, well, maybe you could spend an hour of that time working on your writing and your art. So the 4th thing is, if you're stuck, this happens a lot. I think it's a big thing that stops a lot of us. We get stuck for whatever reason. Again, that's a very personal thing, and it'll change throughout the process of your project. So I would encourage you to journal. Just do a personal journal, notebook, whatever, about why you're stuck. And you can dig deep as you want to go there. It might just be because you had a really busy week, or you had a really stressful week, or there are things on your mind. For me, that's where my yoga practice really helps, because that helps me clear my mind. It helps me pull in other practices that allow me to think freely when it's time to sit down and write. But that's a whole nother thing. So part of that yoga practice, though, is being compassionate for myself and for others, and watching less TV and being on social media less. So those are my 4 things. Number 1, prioritize. Number 2, make a weekly appointment for yourself. Number 3, probably watch less TV and be on social media less. And number 4, if you're stuck, journal about why, so that you can just move on. Just keep going. Every little bit helps. You're doing great. I can tell already, just because you spent 7 minutes watching this video. So thank you for spending this time with me. A reminder to check out my Kickstarter. You can also check out my blog. It's lifesoup.blog. And there, I love to write. I love to write about things like this. So check that out. Sign up for my newsletter, and check out my Kickstarter too. I'd love for you to be a part of this next book project with me. Thanks, everybody. Stay creative.